Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where my microphone is not in exactly where I want it to be. Let's try right about maybe there. There should be good. Okay, so we are still working on implementing intersections. If we go ahead and play this, let's take a quick look at what we've got so far. It does bear noting this is the start of a new recording session for me, so I need to kind of refamiliarize myself with what exactly is going on here. So we currently have these purple pieces indicating that we have intersections in this spot. Now, the first thing I want to do, this isn't super important, but the first thing I want to do is I want to go into our prefabs here and replace the mesh for building road placeholder. I want to replace that mesh with, rather than just this plane here, I would rather have it be the road intersection. I think I called it four-way. Let's see, where are we? Three-way? Three-way? Yeah, I think it's three-way. Okay. Let's see. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so now it will, at least connect the way it's supposed to some degree. So you can see it's not supposed to have all of those external connections, but we can kind of see what's actually happening here a little bit better. So first things first, let's dive into the code here and let's take a quick look. So we have our 6 connected neighbors is road intersection 3-way, that is correct. For our 5, we don't have implemented rotation correctly right now, or at all. So we need to determine which side for the 5-way actually doesn't have a connection. So let's take a quick look here, see if we can generate a 5-way intersection. Let's pop open the console here. Let's see, any 5-way intersections? Not so far. Because I have an idea on how to do this. I just want to see with a 5-way intersection what it would actually look like as it is right now. But it doesn't seem to be wanting to generate a 5-way intersection currently. But yeah, like this we can actually see to some degree how the intersections are laid out, which is going to be fairly handy, to be sure. But yeah, I'm just not seeing any 5-way intersections. So what I think we're going to go ahead and do is we need to determine one thing. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the rotation here. I'm also going to get rid of the debug log. So for right now, it's just road equals road intersection 5-way. Now, let's get our rotation. So let's calculate rotation. So for this to happen, we need to know which of our neighbors is not in the connected neighbors, right? So for int I equals 0, I is less than subhexes I, and actually we need to have this be j. So j is less than subhexes I. There we go. J is less than subhexes I dot neighbors dot count j++. Okay, so we're going to iterate through our list of neighbors and then say if not connected neighbors dot contains subhexes I dot neighbors j. So if this neighbor is not connected to us, then we know it's the only one. So we can go ahead and break out of this for loop because we don't need to go through it at all anymore. We already know that it's basically the best we can get. There's no other option here. So then the question is, what do we do with this information? Well, the first thing I want to figure out is what is our initial rotation. So let's go ahead and go into our 5-way intersection here, which I believe is this one. Let's create that prefab, and let's just see which direction. I'm going to hide the subhexes for now. Let's just see which direction here is not covered. Oh, that's exciting. Look at that. We actually don't have the height in here, I think. We do. Floating point error on the rotation. Oh, we have a 1 degree rotation. Okay, there we go. So there's that fixed. So currently, the 5-way at vector 3.0 is straight down. So if... let's go ahead and say... if we need to be straight up and down, so if... And I'm actually going to create some shortcuts here. And I'm going to do it... no, here is fine. So I'm going to call this vector 3 unconnected position equals subhexes I dot neighbors j dot transform dot position. So that's just a bit of a shortcut there. And then I'm going to also do vector 3 our position equals subhexes I dot transform dot position. And that's just going to be so that it makes it a little bit easier for us to actually write all of this out. So if unconnected position dot x is approximately equal to, so we're going to need approximately equal, and float A, float B, fudge, we don't need to actually put in a fudge. So if our unconnected position dot x is approximately equal to our position dot x, then we can say, and I did the wrong curly brace there. There we go. We need another parenthesis. That's why Visual Studio didn't automatically do that. Okay. So if our x position is approximately equal, then we can say if unconnected position dot z is less than our position dot z, then the rotation is just equal to 0, yeah? So this is our current rotation. If we're down here with a negative z, then we're fine. So rot equals vector 3 dot 0. There we go. We can go ahead and get rid of this because we're implementing the rotation right now. And then else rot equals new vector 3, and this is going to be 0f, 180f, 0f. 180 degree rotation just to flip it around. So if this is not true, if approximately equal, if it's not either top or bottom, so we can then go over here and we can determine if our unconnected position is to the left or to the right. So if it's to the left, then we can say if unconnected position dot x is less than our position dot x, then we know it's to the left, and we then need to determine if we are above or below. So we can just copy this right here. And what angle do we need to be? So if we're over here, if we're below, we need to be at a rotation of 60 degrees. Otherwise, we need to be at 120 degrees. So if we're below, we can actually just copy this line, paste that right here. Rot equals 60 degrees, otherwise rot equals 120 degrees. And now we have the rotation 4/5 implemented. And then we can do another else statement right here. So if we are not less than our x position, then we know that we need to be at a slightly different rot position, but it's exactly the same code to determine if we're above or below. So then we would need to be at, as soon as this compiles there, 240 or 300. So those are the positions that we need to be at here. So this would be 240 degrees, and this would be 300 degrees. Okay, so there's our rotation for a 5-way intersection. That should be a 5-way intersection completely done. So let's get rid of that, turn subhexes back on. Now it's going to be kind of hard to generate a 5-way intersection, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so let's see here. Do we have a 5-way? No, we don't. There's one. And it's actually correct. Fantastic. That is perfect right there. Now I don't know about, both of those are correct as well. Oh, there was one here. That is correct. So that appears to be good. Fantastic. So there's our 5-way intersection done. So I'm going to go ahead and... can we minimize these break statements? No, we can't. That's a little unfortunate. Okay, so we're going to need to do our 4-way intersection next, probably. Alternately, our 3-way intersection. We'll need to determine if it's a Y or junction. Alternatively, for case 4, we'll need to determine if it's an E or an X intersection. But hey, we got our 5-way intersections done. 2 more to go. These will be a little bit more complicated. So our 4-way intersections, let's take a quick look at how we can determine some of this. So an E intersection is, of course, if we are, say we're in the center here, an E intersection would be coming in here and going out here, here, and here. An X intersection would be, we're here, we have an intersection shaped like that. And then what's the other option here? 2-way junction. So that would be, we have a road going this way, and then we have a road coming in here and coming out here, or something like that. So something along those lines. So we need to determine a couple of things. If it's a 2-way junction, let's pull open, actually let's hide our subhexes here, and let's do 2-way junctions first. So this is our road junction 2-way, and we have it right here. So we know a couple of things. One, we know that our unconnected neighbors are always right next to each other. Is that the case for the other types of 4-way intersection? Let's find out. Let's see. So we have our road intersection 2-way here, which is our X intersection. So here, the two that are unconnected are always on opposite sides of each other. That's easy enough. And then we need our E intersection, which is here. And here they're not on opposite sides of each other, but they're always 1 corner distance apart. Okay, so I think we can use distances to determine this. The same way we determine what type of building to spawn, we can determine what type of intersection to spawn. So let's go ahead and say... Let's see, we'll need our square distance. We're not going to be using a fake position. We're going to be using a real position, so let's go ahead and get our types right here. So we've got this going on. Now we're going to need to modify this a little bit, but I went ahead and copied that. And then right here, I'm going to go ahead and put it in, and we're going to hide this debug here for right now. We'll need to calculate our square distance, obviously. And these things that are internal here aren't going to be the same at all. But we're going to use the same distances. And then the break here will be right there. And then a curly brace to close that. So obviously we don't have a square distance yet. So we're going to need to determine our two objects that are not in our connected neighbors. So our first one, well, actually how do I want to do this? I suppose I can just, we know for a fact there's going to be 2 that are unconnected. So let's go ahead and say sub hex unconnected A and unconnected B. We'll unassign them, or not have them assigned for now. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just to make sure that I know exactly what's happening here, I'm going to directly assign them to null. So sub hex unconnected B also equals null. Okay, so we need to iterate through our list again, like we did up here. And then we need to say something along the lines of this. So for int j, blah, 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 blah. And then we need to have a closing brace here, and then one here, and then one here. Okay, so we don't actually know our square distance yet, And we can take this, place this out here. I don't think we need this closing brace. This has gotten very confused. Hang on. I need to format this. Okay. So this 4 doesn't need a closing brace. This opening brace needs a closing brace. Okay. I think we're good. Yes, we are good. So if the neighbor is not in the connected neighbors list, then we can just go ahead and say if unconnected A equals no, then unconnected A equals subhexes I dot neighbors J. Else unconnected B equals that. And then we're not going to break out because we don't necessarily know. Actually, we can break out of the for loop at this point. Once B is assigned, we know that they're both assigned, and we can successfully break out at that point. So then we need to calculate the square distance between unconnected A and unconnected B. And I'm going to go ahead and move these out of here. And we're mostly interested in unconnected positions from A and from B. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's going to be unconnected A dot transform dot position. And the same exact thing down here, except instead of A, it's unconnected B dot transform dot position. And then we'll calculate our square distance by saying float square, not FQR, square distance equals, and this is going to be unconnected position A minus unconnected position B dot square magnitude. Okay, so we know our square distance. And now we know this here, this is a, what type of intersection is this? This is a two-way junction. We know this because they are always going to be right next to each other for a two-way junction. So we've got our road intersection E here, if it compiles and lets me interact here. We've got our road intersection E here, but for our road junction two-way, we always know that these two, no matter how we rotate it, the two on the exact opposite of our inputs are always going to be blank. So we know for a fact that this is going to be how it is, right here. And I'm actually looking at this, and I like how thin this line is. I might go back and redo the line in some of the junctions, but that's neither here nor there. So we know for a fact this one is a two-way junction. Otherwise, this is the corner distance here, so we know that this one is 100% the E, because if you see here, this is a standard corner here. So that's the distance of a standard corner. So we know that this is an E junction. Otherwise, the other option is that the two are on opposite sides of each other, which means that it is obviously an X junction because there's a straight line here. So we know that this is an X junction. Okay, so we now know what type of junction we've got. So we need to then spawn our correct type of junction and then rotate it. So for this, we can go ahead and say, and actually I'm using the term intersection for these, so this is an E intersection, not intersections, just the one intersection. Okay, so for this, we can then say road equals road intersection, did I call it road junction two-way? Yes, I did. Road junction two-way. Okay, and then for right here, perform rotation. Okay, so for the next one, road equals road intersection E, and then perform rotation. And then down here, road equals road intersection, and this is road intersection two-way because I changed my nomenclature partway through for reasons known only to me at that time and not me of right now. And then perform rotation. Okay, So theoretically, we can get rid of this debug log, and that should be four-way intersections implemented but not rotated. So let's take a quick look here. We can get rid of our example junctions here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those, turn our subhexes back on, and save this, and let's go ahead and run. Okay, so, yeah, there's a four-way intersection right there. It's not correctly rotated, but it is the correct type, because we have an output here and here, and an output here and here. So then we just need to determine where the two are for each one, and that will probably be the same or a similar rotation logic as the types of roads. Okay, so here we have a four-way intersection. It's not rotated correctly, but it chose the correct type of intersection. Same thing there. And there. Right? Yes, because we have a straight line here, and then we have our two connectors out this way. So yeah, that appears to be working perfectly. So now we just need to start doing the rotation. So we know for a fact, well, realistically, we should be able to get our rotations, right? We can then maybe do something along the lines of, we can use the same code and then modify it if necessary with a hard-coded modifier, I think. So let's go ahead and say, we know for a fact that these two are close together. So rot equals get sharp corner rotation. So we would then need our current position, which would be subhexes I dot transform dot position. And then our previous position and our next position can just be unconnected position A and unconnected position B, right? And then that's probably not going to return the right amount, but we can then just add a modifier to it. Like, for now, I'm going to be saying equals new vector 3. For now, just 0, 0, 0 plus get sharp corner rotation. I don't know what that's going to give us, but that's a road junction two-way. So let's see how much we actually have to rotate to make a two-way junction correctly rotated. That's not a two-way junction. That's a two-way junction there. And it looks like it is close-ish. Let's go down to our road junction two-way. We've actually got two of them here. One there as well. So is there any amount that we need to just rotate this by hypothetically? If we were to rotate this, adding 120 degrees, right? Yeah. So 60 plus 120 is 180. Same thing here, maybe? Road junction two-way. Negative 120, 0. That's it. Okay, so all we need to do is make this be 120 degrees plus our sharp corner rotation. And that should be our two-way junctions completed, theoretically. That's not a two-way junction. Oh my, no reference exception. There isn't an unconnected B? That's kind of exciting, isn't it? There should be an unconnected B. Well, I guess we can add in a bit of a catch here to say something along the lines of if unconnected A equals null or unconnected B equals null, then debug.log four-way intersection without two unconnected neighbors? Shouldn't happen. And then we'll just break out of the switch statement at that point, rather than doing all this. So that way it'll just put in the placeholder and throw an error. And let's also say I want to throw in the subhexes i.gameObject.name plus like that. So that way we actually know which one is throwing the error. Okay, let's see. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, we don't have a Y junction there. That's that bug. No Y junction there. That bug is happening again. Okay. We need to track that one down eventually and figure out why that's happening sometimes. Actually isn't an intersection, but rather the roads merged for a bit. That's nice. Oh, this here, probably? Yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to implement that at some point. I really don't know why that bug happens. It's kind of obnoxious. But yeah, look at that. That's perfect right there. That looks gorgeous. Going into the 6-way intersection, we've got our junctions here they can merge on. Yeah, that looks great. Now this here is a 6-way intersection, but shouldn't be? Oh no, that's a 5-way intersection that's incorrectly rotated. Look at that. What do we got going on there? Let's see, road intersection, 3-way, blah blah blah. What is going on here? Oh, that's an E intersection. Never mind, I was wrong. This is correct. Okay, well it is time to put a cut in here. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we will continue implementing our 4-way intersections and maybe track down the cause of this happening. This shouldn't be happening, but I guess we'll figure it out. See you all then.